conversation with Dr. Neha Jain ji, whose thoughtful approach to literature Untamed by Sandhya Mridul ji doesn't just write poetry. She crafts an experience of love, loss, pain and healing, where the heart speaks its truth and each verse is a piece of the puzzle that is the life itself. Sandhya ji's poetry speaks to the real, the raw, and the realizations that emerge from confronting the most difficult emotions. Before we begin this amazing session, let me introduce to you our distinguished guests for this session. Sandhya Mridul ji, born in Jaipur and raised in New Delhi, transitioned from successful corporate career to becoming a versatile actress known for her impactful performances across television, film, theatre and live shows. She gained popularity on TV with acclaimed roles like Banegi Apni Baat, Koshish Ek Asha and Hoobahu. Her breakthrough films came with Yash Raj Sathya, earning critical praise for her and award nominations. She further impressed audiences in Page 3, Honeymoon Travels and Angry Indian Goddesses, which won accolades at TIFF and Rome Film Festival. In theatre also, she starred in major plays. A finalist in Jhalak Dikhla Ja Season 2, 2007, she also starred in Anurag Kashyap's short film Day After Every Day. Now a published author, her debut book Untamed, like her spirit, reflects her confident personality. We are glad to have you here with us, ma'am. Joining her is Dr. Neha Jain ji. Dr. Neha Jain is an IAS officer currently posted as Assistant Collector Development, Sihor, Madhya Pradesh. She graduated as a dental surgeon from Maulana Azad Medical College, New Delhi, and worked there before joining Indian Administrative Services in 2018. Dr. Neha Jain is a national medalist in gymnastics and has a diploma in Bharatnatyam. We are really glad to have you here with us, ma'am. Can we welcome them with a huge round of applause? Without further delay, let's hear from our outstanding speakers as we journey through the untamed landscapes of the heart and the mind. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Poetry is a language of the soul. It's fluid, it's unfiltered, and it's deeply human. And Sandhya Mridul has done this exact work in her book, Untamed Poetry. She writes actually with a very rare kind of honesty, embracing contradictions, strength and vulnerability, longing and contentment, calm and chaos. With a voice that is both raw and lyrical, her poetry does not conform, it actually flows. There's an undeniable rhythm in her words that speak to resilience and also the flavor of withering but blooming. Tonight, Sandhya, let us allow ourselves to let her words move through us, unruly, unapologetic, and of course, untamed. Welcome to the Bhopal Literature Festival, Sandhya.
Thank you. I think what you said is written better than what I've written. Thank you. That was a wonderful, extremely wonderful introduction, and I'm very happy to be here. Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming for this session.
You know, of course, I mean, let me tell you that I'm going to steal some conversation with her, and then I'm going to let you all ask her questions as well. So let us start?
Yeah, sure.
Of course, Sandhya, we know you as an actor, and now we know that you're both an actor and a poet. But really, could you share that did your acting influence your poetry? Or is there anything in writing that you think can happen only in writing that performance cannot perhaps do?
I think your entire life leads to poetry? I think everything that you have lived, if you have lived openly, if you have lived deeply, if you have lived fearlessly, if you have lived wanting to feel everything that life has to offer and not just conveniently choose the good, but also feel the bad, the despair, the darkness, it led me to be an actor. It led me to be a writer. You know, my life as an actor led me to experiences that maybe have helped me pen down this pain, because I'm telling you, being an actor is also painful, you know. So I just feel that inspiration, there's no bigger inspiration than living life truly, you know, and like I said, not choosing just the good and shoving the bad under the carpet. So that has been my inspiration. I mean, there's no bigger inspiration than pain, honestly.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Absolutely.
You have to live all of it.
Absolutely.
You know, when I read her book, the one thing that I was sure about, that she's written about profound emotional themes. You have to have a heart to read her heart. I mean, if that kind of sums it up. So I wanted to ask you, you know, are there any poets, artists, performers, individuals who've inspired you to write this? Or how have you been inspired enough and attracted enough to actually bear your own heart in your writing?
You know, other than the fact, like I said, I am, however dark and hard life gets, I'm always inspired. I'm always inspired. That does not go from me. I have a strange connection to pain, which does not leave me, you know, and I think the only way for me to transcend that into something was this book. Sorry, what did you ask me?
I said that, are you, see, that's the
poets.
flow.
Poets just go away somewhere else.
That's the flow, that's the flow. So, were you inspired by any poets or artists, specifically any people who kind of inspired you?
Definitely. A lot of, see, I wasn't, firstly, honestly speaking, as a kid, I hated poetry. I would do anything to bunk poetry class and stand in the basketball court and eat samosas. Anything. I really disliked literature. I was a mathematics student. That was my favorite subject. But then life is so poetic. You know, it did not remain about the words. It became about the feelings, you know. But there are, over time, there were a lot of people who what they said, how they performed, or how they sang, stuck with me. You know, I'm a huge fan of Maya Angelou. I'm a huge fan of Mary Oliver. I'm a huge fan of Leonard Cohen, Sylvia Plath, Anai Nin. You know, these writers, I have found them, I found them fearless. I think to be true to what you're doing, you have to be fearless. And fearless is only possible when you're really scared and when you've known that kind of fear, you know. So yes, other than real life people, my father who I lost when I was very young, my brother who was a wonderful poet who I lost a couple of years ago very suddenly, he was a wonderful poet. He was a self-taught Urdu and English poet. His book is not published, but I intend to do it posthumously now. He inspired me because, you know, it's often said that men don't feel things that much. Men don't feel things deeply. Men can't express deeply. My brother broke that wall completely. You know, and I thought he was so brave, and he was one of the first people where I got exposed to somebody embracing darkness in them with such gusto. You know, so definitely he is an inspiration to me. The life that my mother has led, which has been so hard, you know, there's inspiration everywhere, in everyone. And I'm very, very curious about not people's lives, but their energies. And I think the collective energy of this world was so painful in the past 4 or 5 years that I had to put my head down and my pen down and just write it all there.
You know, you remind me of the book, I don't know how many people have read it, it's called The Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, where she writes that creative process is something that just happens to you.
Yeah.
And if you're receptive, you might receive it. And you are a medium to write that.
It's true. You're not thinking. I mean, I don't think there's even one poem where I've had to think. I've just sometimes, in the middle of something, just dropped everything and picked up my pen and started writing. Or woken up at night and just suddenly written something and then it's gone. You know, I've never forced a poem to happen. That's why you'll see there are a lot of them that just 2 lines. Yeah. Because they did it. The 2 lines were enough. They said what they had to say. I did not feel the pressure to write 8 more lines to turn it into a poetry. Yeah. Because that was not what I was aiming for at all. You know, I was literally penning down a journey as palpably and honestly as possible.
You know, as you say, you've been writing your journey. You know, when you will all read the book, you will see that the first poem of the book, it says how strong, and I'm just going to say a line from that word from the poem. It says, how strong does one have to be to pick up the pieces again and again? And this line captures the cyclical nature of grief. You cannot get away with it all at once. Grief will capture you. You will have to carry it. You have to burden it. So, you know, my question to you is, when I read that book, I really wanted to ask, you know, the poet about it, Sandhya, now that you are in flesh and blood, I can ask you, that did you really write about grief to get the pieces back? Or you just wanted to write because it serves as a mirror to know the depth of your loss?
I just wanted to know the depth of what I was feeling. I just wanted to allow the depth. I just wanted to break once and for all. I just wanted to lose that fear of breaking. We're all so scared to break. You know, उठ पाएंगे कि नहीं उठ पाएंगे, उठ जाते हैं. But you have to break. You know, there's a very famous quote by a very famous poet which says that light is where the crack, comes in from the wound. And I just said, ये तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, अगर एक क्रैक से इतनी लाइट आती है तो पूरी बॉडी और सोल क्रैक हो जाएगा तो लाइट ही लाइट भर जाएगी. You know, the days when I used to feel terrible, I used to tell myself, let yourself have so many cracks that light is coming in from everywhere. You know, and it's very uncomfortable for people around you who care about you to see you go through this. Because they couldn't understand why you're such a lively, bubbly, fun person. Why are you becoming this depressive? Why are you allowing this sadness to take over? Why are you... And I said, I know what I'm doing. He said, why are you rushing into the storm? Why are you going into it? I said, the only way is to go into it. I do not want to shove anything under my carpet. I want to pick up my carpet and I want there to be nothing hidden there, you know. So it's tough to walk into the eye of the storm, but it's necessary, and grief requires that. So that it stops being your enemy, because the minute something is your enemy, you've given it all your power and you're never going to get up, you know. So it's as simple as that for me.
Yeah. So, you know, because she started, and, you know, the poetry is, of course, on grief, but then one more emotion, you know, that I found so complex and interesting in her book, and I'm going to ask you about it, was love. You write about love as absence, love as longing, love as self-realization, and love as creation. I mean, I'm going to say that, I'm going to quote one or two poems, and says that, in I am the love, you write, I am the love I never received. I am the love I deserve. Which speaks, you know, of the idea of love, that it is actually something that we must cultivate within ourselves. In another poem, when you write about love, it says, only love, how could I not love you? I created you from my own heart. Which suggests that love is an act of actually bringing someone, bringing something into existence. And through your writing, I wanted to ask you that, is love what we search for, or is love what we give, or is love something that we ultimately become?
See, the goal is to become. You know, that's definitely the goal. That's definitely the only goal. Because see, I mean, of course, we are all people who want love from others, from our family, from our friends, from our spouses, from our partners, from our pets. I'm not denying that that is love too. But the point is, to depend on that love is dangerous. Because that then has expectations that you cannot have from another human being. You know? And it's very important to identify what you feel about yourself. Because if you're just constantly seeking that validation and love from outside, कुआं हो तुम, लेते जाओगे, फिर भी वो सामने वाला दे नहीं पाए. It's not enough. You will always feel the person is not loving you enough, is not giving you enough. The only person who can give you enough is you, because you know how deep that desire and that longing is. So you're the only person who can keep filling it and keep filling it, you know. Nobody else, they don't know how deep your well is, and it's not their job to know that, you know. So ultimate goal, of course, is to be that love, to become that love. And that can only happen when you allow yourself to feel everything. Do not shy. People will tell you, "Arey negative mat bano." No, I am sorry. Every emotion has to be felt. You cannot choose, I'll only enjoy the happiness, I will avoid the sadness. No, it's coming for you. You know, so do not get, I went through that. Arey yaar, you know, you are this lively, bold, bindas babe, yeah, what's happening to you? What's happening to me is reality. What's happening to me is that I've decided to be truthful with myself. And that doesn't mean I'm going to just walk around with my head hanging low. That's got nothing to do with it. Feeling everything does not mean that you're a negative, toxic, or depressed human being. You know, as long as you're doing the work. We have to do the work. We have to go deeper, and it'll cause you pain. But then so will life, so will loss, so will a lot of things. And I just feel burying these things is more dangerous than feeling it all.
Absolutely true, absolutely true. And you know, when I thought, you know, perhaps she's written about grief, she's written about love, a very natural question that came to me was that you write about catastrophic grief to profound love. Do you think, are these two emotions inseparable? And if you go through deep grief, can it help you understand love better and vice versa?
Absolutely, because it opens up your heart. You know, if you open your heart, the pain will come, but the love will flow. You have to keep it flowing, you know. So it's absolutely connected. There are no contrasts here. The heart will feel all of this. The body is storing everything. And it's all deeply connected, you know. So you cannot separate it. And the more deeply you feel, the more deeply you love. The more deeply you love, the more deeply you'll feel everything, you know. So it's so deeply and so complicatedly and yet simplistically tied that you just have to say, it's okay. Let me just allow this feeling. Let me allow this feeling without saying, stop it. Every day you're feeling sad. Why are you crying? What is wrong with you? Just, those are all stories the mind is telling you. Just allow it, allow it, allow it, allow it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, you know, when I was just, you know, reading, of course, I read it in 2 days, and you might have, you know, written it, whatever, in days or months or whatever, but we had to go through the emotions in a couple of days, and it was, it starts from grief, and then when you kind of read, there are poems of love, there are poems of resilience, there are poems of acceptance, and then it eventually ends in a poem called I Am a Bird, which talks about freedom, which talks about fearlessness. So was it, you know, a conscious decision to go from grief to growth, and then finally this freedom to hope? Because hope, we all know, is a good thing, and no good thing ever dies.
No, there's no conscious decision. This book is my journey. This book is how it went. I never needed to change the flow or the sequence of this book. It was printed as it was written. I presented it because this is how my journey went. You know, it started with being completely lost and in complete darkness and in pain and feeling absolutely victimized and a whole lot of things, you know, alienated, isolated. A whole lot of it got to do with you yourself, you know. And then allowing it and understanding a bit, and this book is literally showing my growth and my catharsis and my journey. It's literally that sequence. There was no planning of where what should come at all.
But you know, as a reader, I mean, that's what I told Sandhya, that, you know, when you come to those festivals, I think you get a perspective of what people have interpreted, because an artist can perhaps do their art, but then when you give your art to the world, it's an open to interpretation book,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and it's what you want to feel, your frame of mind.
Yeah.
And perhaps, you know, that is what I interpreted, that maybe it goes from grief to growth and then eventually to freedom and fearlessness.
In fact, it gives me great joy to hear this because it's validation for me. My own book, what you're saying, is validation for me that, oh, okay, I went from being that to being a bird. Yay, I did it. You know, because you don't realize what you have achieved. You don't realize what you have done. This book has been such a mirror to my journey, and it has truly, there are days when I'm now able to get up and say, well done. You know, and pat myself on the back, not for writing this book, for allowing myself to go through that journey, which took far more courage than actually writing the book.
Yes.
So I'm glad that the journey went in this sequence, and I'm glad that
yes.
that's what is coming
And
through.
sometimes, you know, they say truth is stranger than fiction.
Absolutely.
So probably what you read as a fiction is probably way more easier than what people go through, and more so all of us in our journeys go through this, but only rare of the rare can actually write it with this kind of honesty and this kind of rawness. So of course, since you're here, I would invite you, for all of us, for the benefit of everybody, that why don't you recite one of your poems for us? Will it be good? So
Sure.
I have completely messed this book with my pen.
Yes, I've seen that.
And yeah, okay, so one interesting thing, we just met today, and perhaps just half an hour back we met, and I just showed her that, you know, I make a kachra of the book that I read. I'm not an OCD person at all. And she just asked me that, why is there a green pen? I said, I don't know, my bedside always has a couple of pens, and usually it's blue, but I don't know why I picked up green for your book. And she showed me the picture. When she started writing her poetry, it was on a green pen.
It was just so...
It was...
the book and I said, oh my God, is that green pen? She said, yeah. I said, why? I thought she researched me so well.
No, not at all.
She's really done her work, yeah? But this is like spooky because nobody knows this except...
No, I mean not. Yeah, it was spooky, and suddenly she asked me this question. I found, of all of the things that you could ask the moderator.
And the same kind of writing, cursive and green, and I showed her photographs of screenshots that I've taken. It's the same. And I said, okay, this is really weird.
And I thought, you know, that... yeah, it is.
Both really, I was really shocked.
And I thought, you know, the only thing she could ask her moderator half an hour before the session is why green? But, you know, then it made all sense to me that, you know, why do you say that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I started writing with a green pen either, but it just became the thing. There were 2 lines that came, and I penned it. And after that green pen, it just seemed so healing to me. And of course, a whole lot of study into color, which colors and color therapy and all that I did. Green is supposed to be a color for healing.
Oh my God. Yeah,
It is
absolutely.
also considered to be a very positive color,
Yeah.
along with being a color of healing.
Feeling, and also of healing, and also the color of the heart chakra, you know. So it just all started falling into place, and I never stopped writing. All 324 poems, of which only 172 are here, were written in a green pen. And the only time I was frustrated when my shopkeeper ran out of the green pen. I said, "How मैं लिखूंगी कैसे?" He couldn't understand why I was getting so hysterical about a green pen. Maybe now he'll understand. So do you want to hear? Okay, let's read a slightly positive one, because the one that I always read makes people cry, and then I go back home and I feel very sad about that. Though I think crying is good. I make my mother cry every day. I told her I want her to cry every day for half an hour and laugh every day for half an hour as an exercise. She's 85, and I said, if you can do these 2 exercises every day, Ma, you'll be fine. So, yeah, I'm torturing my mother now with my weird tools. This is called My Earth, My Ground. This is, by the way, Shabana Azmi's favorite poem from this book. So, since she launched my book, I'll respectfully read the one which is her favorite. My earth, my ground. Wrapped in the arms of love, spooned by your light, nestled in this moment, nowhere I want to go. I'm safe here. I'm off this earth. I want to be like water, flowing into water, slowly meandering through the plains, crashing with vigor and courage over rocks and debris, swirling, bubbling, flowing, crashing, navigating, mindfully. Whatever, however the terrain or the climate, rugged or steep or gently asleep, resonating, adapting, blending, changing, always flowing. My earth, my ground.
Wonderful, wonderful. You know, now, because I thought, you know, of course, there'll be questions from the audience. So I think we'll open it to the audience and the volunteers can come. Anybody who wants to ask can raise their hands. And yeah, so there's a question here in the audience. Yeah, you can take mine. Thank you.
Oh, he's got another mic. He's got another mic.
Wonderful. Good evening, everyone. I don't have a question. As you said, you have a connection with pain. I have a small little thing written which I would like to share.
Sure.
That is in Hindi, actually. I do write poetry. I started writing in 10th standard. And I'm currently a student of literature who's pursuing masters in English literature in final sem. But sadly, I have left my practice of writing poetry. There was a time when Ronak used to pick her pen. Every Wednesday, we used to have a poetry session in class, and I was the one who used to write the poetry. By the time all the girls used to complete, I was the last one running up with my poetry. So this is one which is quite a sad one. So I just thought to share. एक दिन मन था बहुत उदास, मैं सबसे बुरी हूँ हुआ एहसास, सच में मुझे अब लगा कैसा अच्छाई एक रत्न है जो मुझ में ना था ऐसा। आजाद जेल की कश्ती में मैं डूब रही थी सस्ते में, रुकावट पत्थर गड्ढे ही थे रास्ते में, रोते हुए दिन कटता है शर्म आती थी हंसने में। आज दिल तो यूं कुछ सहम सा गया, रब जी आपके सिवा कोई बचा ले वो दिन भी गया। मैं दूर अंधेरी रात में ही जंगल की घनी वादियों में कुछ सहमी सी अब बैठ गई। सूरज की पहली किरण में ही मैं उम्मीद की बिजली को खोजती रही, सूरज ढल गया बिजली ना मिली, वो रात अंधेरी सहमी सी कली। एक कोने में छिपकर बहुत आस लिए, रास्ते के पत्थर फेंक फैल लिए, उम्मीद की बिजली फिर आएगी अनगिनत शक्ति चार्ज लिए। एक रंगीन किताब का अनोखा अजीब दृश्य, जिसका वो एक कागज था मेरा मनमोहक रहस्य। थैंक यू एवरीवन।
Nice.
We have, yeah, another question there.
हाय, मेरा नाम सचिन है। मेरा ये सवाल है कि आप इंग्लिश में आपने लिखा है और आपने शबाना आज़मी जी का नाम लिया, तो मैं क्यूरियस हो गया ये जानने के लिए कि उर्दू या हिंदी के कौन से ऐसे पोइट्स रहे हैं जिन्होंने आपको इन्फ्लुएंस किया है। मैं इसलिए पूछ रहा हूँ क्योंकि हम कविता भले ही इंग्लिश में लिख रहे हैं, हिंदी में लिख रहे हैं, वो हमारी दूसरी वो लैंग्वेज है। फीलिंग्स की कोई लैंग्वेज नहीं होती, फीलिंग्स तो खुद में एक लैंग्वेज होती है। तो आपको पोइट्री लिखने के लिए या फिर जिस तरीके से आपने भावनाओं को एक्सप्लोर किया, वो कौन से उर्दू और हिंदी के पोइट्स थे जिनको आपने पढ़ा और उन्होंने आपको बहुत इन्फ्लुएंस किया?
मैंने ऑनेस्टली पढ़ा नहीं उन्हें, लेकिन मैं बहुत सुनती थी क्योंकि मेरी नानी गालिब फैज़ इकबाल बहुत कोट करती थी। मेरे भाई भी बहुत हमेशा सुनाते रहते थे हमें, तो बचपन से सुना है। समझ कम आता था उस वक्त, उर्दू अब थोड़ी थोड़ी समझ आने लगी क्योंकि इतनी सुनी। नानी फारसी में भी बात करती थी तो उनसे सुनती थी। मेरे भाई सेल्फ टॉट उर्दू पोएट थे, तो उनकी कविताएं सुन सुन के समझने की कोशिश, इसका मतलब क्या है, उसका मतलब क्या है। मैंने ना अपने घर के अंदर आज बहुत एक्सपोज हुई हूँ पोइट्री से, क्योंकि मेरे घर में बहुत ज़्यादा पोइट भरे हैं शायद। नोबडी हैज़ कम आउट। माई फादर वॉज काउंसिल टू गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, बट ही रोट, बहुत अच्छा लिखते थे वो। मेरे भाई जो गुजर गए वो वाइस प्रेसिडेंट क्रिएटिव हेड एडवर्टाइजिंग एजेंसी के थे, वो भी बहुत अच्छे लिखते थे। उनकी किताब जो है उससे मैं बहुत सीख रही हूँ इस वक्त, क्योंकि मुझे काफ़ी कुछ समझ नहीं आता। फिर मैं फ़ोन करती हूँ अपने कुछ दोस्तों को और उन्हें कहती हूँ कि मुझे समझाएं। तो मैंने खुद अपने भाई के अलावा किसी हिंदी उर्दू पोएट को नहीं पढ़ा है ऑनेस्टली स्पीकिंग, लेकिन सुना सबको है। गालिब तो बहुत ज़्यादा ही सुना है, और कुछ सेलेक्टिव वाले याद भी कर लेते थे हम, जो हम कभी यूज़ कर लेते कहीं ना कहीं, पर पढ़ा नहीं है ऑनेस्टली स्पीकिंग। बट लैंग्वेज की आपने सही बात कही। एक्चुअली सबसे पहले जब मैंने कभी कुछ लिखा था, वो 2 लाइनें लिखी थी और मैं हिंदी में लिखी थी, और उस बात को हो गए 10, 12, 15 साल हो गए होंगे। मैंने ये 2 लाइनें लिखी थी और 5 मिनट बाद 2 और लाइनें आई थी। मैंने लिखा था, खामोशी की वजह मत पूछो, लफ्ज़ों की कोई अहमियत नहीं, और 5 मिनट बाद मैंने कहा, कौन कहता है लफ्ज़ों की कोई अहमियत नहीं, मेरे कानों में गूंजती हुई तन्हाई से कोई पूछे। और इसके बाद बहुत ज़्यादा हिंदी में नहीं लिखा है मेरे पास, 15-20 से ज़्यादा नहीं होंगी, बट ये मैं चाहती हूँ कि मैं करूँ, क्योंकि हिंदी इज़ माई फर्स्ट लैंग्वेज, बट ये किताब अंग्रेज़ी में आई, होप करती हूँ कि अगली हिंदी में आएगी। थैंक यू।
We have one more question here.
आपने ग्रीफ पे काफ़ी गहराई से बोला और 2 खास इमोशन आपने लेके चले हैं। आपने प्यार पे बात की, ग्रीफ पे बात की, तो आपकी लाइफ में कौन सी चीज़ ज़्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग रही है और ग्रीफ ने भी क्या आपको और स्ट्रॉन्ग बनाया है? जैसे आपने कहा कि है तो बहने दो, रुक
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। ग्रीफ से ज़्यादा स्ट्रेंथ आपको कुछ नहीं दे सकता, क्योंकि आप अपने जान के लिए झगड़ रहे हैं उस वक्त, क्योंकि ग्रीफ इतनी पेनफुल होती है कि आपको लगता है कि आप उठ नहीं पाएंगे अब, तो आपको सारी ताकत लगाकर उठना पड़ता है। और जो स्ट्रेंथ ग्रीफ से निकल के आती है वो कहीं से नहीं निकल के आएगी। दैट इज अ ट्रू टेस्ट ऑफ योर पावर एंड योर स्ट्रेंथ।
बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने। जैसे मेरे फादर भी बहुत अच्छा लिखते थे और वो कहा करते थे, जिसने जो दुख से पूरी शिद्दत से नहीं गुजरा वो लिखेगा कैसे। थैंक यू।
थैंक यू।
Any more questions? Yeah. Why not?
You know, कई बार grief के बाद ना you don't expressing yourself feels very inadequate. You know, sometimes when the grief is too much, you don't want to express yourself because किसी दूसरे से बात करने में वो हल्कापन लगता है. But and writing kind of gets you out of that grief. But getting out of the grief and falling in love again is another strength. It requires another strength. So ऐसा नहीं है कि आप you are in love and then you are whatever happened, or बच्चे का, बड़े का, mother का, any kind of love, and then you their loss you grieve, and then you write, and then but to be able to love another child or to have another one, whatever form of love, is a great strength. Vulnerable moments हैं जो आप express कर रही हैं.
जी,
This is you are at your kind of most vulnerable.
And I believe that vulnerability is the biggest strength.
And most of the people don't express because they don't want to
Absolutely.
express the vulnerability.
Absolutely, because vulnerability is always misunderstood as weakness.
Yes.
But actually vulnerability, as we know, is the biggest strength that you can have. और जो आपने कहा उसमें जो मेरी सबसे पहली पोएम है इसमें, वो इसी बारे में है. It's called How Strong is Strong.
You want to read it?
Sure.
Why don't you read it?
Yeah, just open it to that. ये मैंने अपनी माँ के लिए लिखा था after I lost my brother 2 years ago. How strong do you have to be to see the vacant look in your mother's eyes? How strong to put the light back in her shattered heart, dark with fear and pain and loss. How strong to not collapse, break into a million pieces in front of her, because she's your mother too. How strong to tell yourself she's his mother and he's gone. How strong is strong? How strong do you need to be to see a photograph of your brother and not feel your heart smash in your body, your breath jam in your throat, your whole life crumble into pieces? How strong does one have to be to pick up those pieces again and again? How strong is strong? How strong do you have to be to step out into the world again with a limb missing, to feel whole again? How strong to cope every broken moment? How strong to stay afloat even as the waves of grief engulf you and you feel like you're choking and crashing? How strong to feel, to love, to heal, to live truly? How strong is strong?
Are there no more questions?
Are there any more questions?
We have time. We can take one more. Okay. So, ma'am,
I think I'll just say one thing that,
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
it's, I think we should give her a round of applause for just writing. You know, it's easy, I told her, you know, that it's easy to live life. All of us are living our lives anyways, and all of us are going through different kind of emotions as life brings us. But then it's difficult to document, it's difficult to lay your heart bare in front of people, to judge, to see, to heal, to play. And you've done a great job, and thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a personal question. I wanted to ask, like, between the session, like you told that your book ends on freedom as you flying as a bird. And I'm really excited to know that poem. So could you tell that as well?
I think she should read that poem.
Of course.
Let her read that poem. अच्छा लगता है when somebody else reads your poem, then you realize what they're feeling, you know, about it.
The poem is, I'm a bird. Hold me back if you can. My heart knows no boundaries, nor bonds to tie us down. I fly fearless towards you and away at free will. Thank you.
Wow. Just wow. Thank you so much. Sandhya ma'am, thank you so much, Neha ma'am. It was an amazing session, and I think we can just listen to you and we can just sit here all day. And you know, thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your incredibly personal journey with us. And your poetry has not just opened our hearts but also inspired us to, you know, embrace these stories that are within us. And you are so brave. You are so true in saying that vulnerability is so tough, and you are able to do that. So you're so strong, ma'am. We're so inspired by you. And thank you so much for sharing the process of writing. You told us, like, it's not something that we do. It just happens. It's just a state of flow. And I would like to personally thank you, ma'am, for telling that grief is not a linear process. It happens eventually, and we have to, you know, let it flow, basically. Feel every emotion, nothing is bad, and when we let life flow, everything just happens perfectly. Thank you so much. Can we give them a huge round of applause again?
Thank you so much.
Okay. As we bring this profoundly enlightening session to a close, I would like to invite Dr. Meera Das, ma'am, a founder member of the society, to please come forward and offer a memento to our distinguished speakers. This gesture serves as a heartfelt expression of our appreciation for their contributions and insights. The artwork that you see here has been masterfully created by Padma Shri Bhil artist Bhuri Baiji for BLF 2025. It beautifully illustrates the interconnectedness of nature, the earth, humanity, and environment, encapsulating the vital and cyclical relationship that underpins our very existence. Now for the audience, I would like to tell you that our author, our speaker have a question for you. Our speakers have a question for you, and if you know the answer, you can raise your hand, and if you answer correctly, then you will get a prize. That is the book Living an Enriched Life by Dale Carnegie. You can ask a general question or a question related to your topic. Any? Yeah.
Let the IAS officer ask.
Yeah.
No, this is something nothing like that. I remember I had debate a few years back when I was in school. And I'll not tell you which side I was on, but I'll just ask, if there was a memory pill, you know, we all go through emotions and let's say grief or whatever. If there was a memory pill which made me forget and live my life the next day before the incident, would you take that pill?
Please raise your hand
And
first and let the mic come to you, then say, please.
And why not?
Ma'am, I would not like to have that pill because I want to go through the emotions which I have gone through earlier, and I get the lessons, I get the experiences. So I'll continue with them future also.
Not like to keep making the same mistakes that I made yesterday, no?
Sir, please come up on the stage and get the prize from our speakers. Can we give them? Ma'am, you being here is our prize. It's an honor. Can we give them a round of applause? Thank
Books being exchanged without me being included, then
Thank you so much once again for this beautiful session by our beautiful speakers, and thank you so much to our wonderful audience. We'll see you all in the next session.